I'm live. I'm live. And hurting. Lots of hurting. I guess I should let you know to type, if you're watching on replay, type your comments. I'm going to come back and respond to them. But, man, let me tell you, it's a slugfest out there right now. It's a tough go. And thankfully, I feel very thankful that I've been involved in markets similar to this in the past, and we're able to navigate them very well. But I'm finding that a lot of sellers in the marketplace right now are they're doing anything but that. Let's put it that way. They are, I guess it's just natural that you're protective of a price that you want to try and get. And let me tell you, that is just not out there right now. It's a slugfest out there to try and get deals together. I'll give you an example of the slugfest that's going on. So we had, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, we had upwards of 12 or so properties on the market, and those properties had been on the market for long, long periods of time. Dumb money. How can you be on? Apparently you're also me. Sorry, reading the comments there. Jump in the comments if you're in. Jump in the comments. So these properties are on the market for long periods of time, and those sellers don't necessarily want to reduce their price, which you can't blame them to do. Eventually, the people that do actually want to move on, they lower their price to a spot where buyers will buy, or buyers will offer at least, which is, again, going to be even lower than that. And then I'll tell you how much more of a slugfest this is. Last week, we had 5 accepted offers where the buyers needed an extension on their condition period. So they were already given 7 to 10 business days to get their financing, inspections, all this stuff together. And they actually needed to extend, some by 1 or 2 days, some by up to 5 business days, to try and get the deals together. And then some of those come together and some of them don't. Thankfully, so far they are. But there are deals out there. And that brings me to my point of this whole liquidity thing that you're hearing. And people are saying, oh, it's not a liquid market right now. That, I understand the feeling of it not being a liquid market because there's not a ton of sales. But is it really liquid or not? I believe every real estate market is liquid. The question is, liquid at what price? So I'll give you another example. Of those, let's say the 4 of them that I'm thinking of the 4 properties that we reduced the price on 2 weeks ago, last week, all of them got an accepted offer. Sorry, that's not true. One of them's working on an offer right now at the moment. But the other ones had an accepted offer very quickly after the price reduction. So once you get to that right price, liquidity is there. The problem is sellers, they are really, really, really hoping that that price that they want is going to come back, and it will come back. I guarantee you, write it down. Those prices are coming back. The question is, when? And it's not 2 or 3 months from now. So I'll tell you why it's a slugfest, why I say it's such a crazy slugfest out there right now. I have been on a lot of listing appointments. I was on a number last week. Very good people trying to do good things, but I'm being upfront and honest with them, and I'm just saying I'm not the most liked guy in the room. Don't worry, I didn't get this from the listing appointments. It felt like I did, just emotionally. I'm just wearing it on the outside. But I mean, it's really, you're not the most liked guy in the room because you're going in and you're telling somebody a much lower price than you would have told them a number of months ago. That's the fact. But then they don't want to hear that often. Some sellers are very, okay, this is what it is. I want to move or I don't want to move, and that's the choice you make. That's it. But then there's the people that want to hold on to the price. Let me tell you, I keep a little list of listing appointments and different things up here above my desk. And I'm looking at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, At least 6 right now, of which they chose to go with somebody else over top of myself. And no sales in those. That's why they're still up there. If they sold, they would be down in the trash. But I keep track of them because they may come back to me in the future. And they may come back to me because they're starting to eventually realize that their price was wrong. But the only problem is they're going, okay, well, I'm going to wait for prices to come back. And in their mind, they're going, well, when is that? September? It's not September. It's not. So I keep telling people, I've been saying this for about 9 months now. If you want to sell in the next 2 years, the chances are, I don't really think it'll be 2 years from now, but chances are that the highest price is now. And if you want to hold on to that thing for 5 to 10 years, hold on to it because you're going to like that price eventually. In 10 years, you're going to love the price. It's the way the real estate market works. It's going to go upsies and downsies. But right now, I just think this foolishness of like, oh, when do you think the market's going to pick up? The market picking up doesn't mean you're still going to get your price from however many months ago, from back then. That's just not what it means. So it's just really hard, I guess, for a lot of sellers to wrap their heads around that. And then by the time they do, by the time I meet you and I say your place is worth $700,000 and you want to go, I would need to list at $799, and then you put it on the market, maybe with me, maybe with somebody else, and then, you know, by the time I get you down to that $699 where you should have been in the first place, the market has fallen down to, I mean, in some places, 10%. So what is that now? $640? So now, you know, well, now I'm at $699, Steve. What's going on? You told me it would sell at this. Yeah, it would have 90 days ago when I told you to list for that price, but we've come down 10% since then. That's what's going on out there. That's why we're getting so beat up out there. I encourage you heavily to comment, please, in the chat. There's a couple of like buttons being clicked. Hopefully somebody clicks a heart, and I will respond to these. Just because it's been a gangbuster week last week, we've actually put together a whole ton of deals, which is great. We're actually having our best month of the year so far, thankfully, because it hasn't been a great year. But I wanted to hop on here on a bit of a quiet day after some negotiations this morning that are looking good. I wanted to hop on here and answer any questions you have about the marketplace. But then I'm going to show you shortly, I'm going to show you why prices will not return like you're hoping they will if you're looking to sell your property. And these people that are just throwing more good money after bad, trying to hold on to these properties for 3, 4, 5, 6 more months, why that's not necessarily a good thing. Hello, good info. Thank you. Maybe wrong channel? I hope it's good info. Hello from Grimsby, Ontario. Grimsby. Where's that? I don't even know where that is. Couldn't see the left hook. Would that be a left hook? I guess it would be. No, I believe it was an elbow coming over the top. So this is a sports-related injury from this week. And I joined a non-striking sport and got struck. So what do you do? I learned a lot. They say in martial arts, you win or you learn. I learned a lot this weekend. I've got a question, but it's kind of long. Call in. My 5-year 1.95 fixed expires November 26th. Cool. Don't worry about it. Hang on to that rate, man. You got another, or woman, wherever you are. Andrew, I'm assuming. I'm not going to assume. Never mind. 1.95 is absolutely fantastic if you have it for another year and a half. Keep it. Sit on it. Enjoy it. My condo comes up next March, I want to say, because I bought in the frenzy too. I bought before the frenzy, thankfully. And thankfully now my rents are way higher and it's going to break even again because I bought at the best time possible. Back when I started this YouTube channel, and I did a video, you can go back and find it. It said, buy a condo now. I meant it. I did it. It's still a great investment. Steve, you should tell sellers the war wounds from this. Sorry, I'm also battling a cold. War wound is from fighting off the offers. Yeah, so I have made jokes to clients that this is, from a negotiation. it goes over quite well. They appreciate the humor, and then they give me another one on the other side when I tell them the price of their place. Who keeps kicking your butt? This time, who kicked my butt was somebody I never met before in an open competition. And all of my clients and all of the buyers. I will say the one thing we are noticing out there right now with a lot of these buyers, the buyers that are acting in the marketplace right now are what I would call, don't get offended. I don't care if you get offended. I don't know who you are. They're C buyers right now. There's not a lot of A and B buyers. There's a lot of gig worker buyers. There's a lot of, people with a full-time job doing gig work on the side, and that income, there's certain banks that you have to go to in that manner, and it's taking longer. So I know the market gets tough when you end up with certain types of buyers coming out of the woodwork that you're like, should you be buying this? A lot of them, yeah, it can get really dicey. Oh, I said I would show you why. I'm going to get back to this. I appreciate everybody commenting. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to show you my desktop. There we go. So this is why prices are not coming back. This is the months of inventory. The red line is the Vancouver board, and the blue line is my board where I work, the Fraser Valley, which is basically both just, they're the lower mainland. One's just more in town, one's out. So this is months of inventory. So this is also months of inventory in all classes. So all markets, if you look at it as a total, are now in a buyer's market officially from the stats that came out at the end of the month. And now I'm going to go out to the max. And we are now, 2019, Vancouver actually did get higher. 2019 was a bad year. I say it every single video. Like, people don't realize 2019 was a bad year. It was a terrible year. It was much worse for Vancouver than it was for the Fraser Valley, and now the Fraser Valley is way, way up. So we are now like May 09-ish type stats. So if you look at that and you say, hey, inventory is going up this quickly, now let's switch over to the active listings. The amount of active listings is going up that quickly. You're not going to get prices going up. I hate average price because it jumps around like this, but the overall trend line is definitely downwards. So that's why you're not going to see prices come back anytime soon until this starts to plummet and get down below 4 constantly and really below 3 constantly. Excuse me, it's not going to happen. Was I stupid to go into a jiu-jitsu tournament with a cold? Who really won that match? The guy that loses the day or the guy that gets the cold 4 days later? Probably shouldn't say that out loud. Okay, what else do we have here? Would you say it's a good time to upgrade your asset class, like a condo to a townhouse? That's actually a very hard thing to tell. Let me hop back into the numbers here. And the reason I say that is it depends on what you have. So I can actually break this out and I can look at the different asset classes and the pricing in the asset class. So generally speaking, when you look at it, like, it doesn't look that bad. And detached is actually coming down. But right now, if you look at the gap here, townhouses came down like $1,000 last month, and apartments came down 5,000. Now this is the whole board area, so that doesn't really count. Like, detached came down, what are we talking, 27,000. But really, it is a good time if those detached places are coming down. But it's also really, it can be a really frustrating time because if you're in a small 1-bedroom condo, those are the ones that are hurting. So to jump up to like a 3-bedroom townhouse, which are still really desirable, from a 1-bedroom condo, tougher. But to go from like a really nice 2-bed livable condo that somebody really wants, maybe not as bad. I view it as being pretty tough these days. I think the sweet spot, if you're trying to upsize right now, might be something like a very large townhouse, going from that to a maybe even smaller square footage but detached house, because those have come down. So particularly something that doesn't have a second kitchen in it, doesn't have a rental suite in it. Those aren't super desirable these days because everybody needs that rental income coming in to afford the house. So if you can make that jump, it could be a positive. I mean, generally speaking, if you look at the whole market and you think the whole market's coming down that way, but you have to look at the pocket of where you're buying, what you're selling, and do that comparison. If the whole market came down, like if the tide actually floated all boats at the exact same level, it would be great to upsize right now. But I just think like those investor style condos, if you're in one of those, you're going to have a tougher time than you were before. I'd like to downsize from 600K to 400K. Well, in Surrey? I hope not. You're somewhere else, Andrew. Would you advise me to make that move sooner or later? I would not advise you anything because I have a real estate license and I can't advise you unless you're a client. So if you're a client and you're looking in my area, I would love to help. And a general rule, that would be, I mean, in my marketplace, that's a 2-bedroom condo down to a 1-bedroom condo. That would actually be a pretty smart move right now, as 2 beds are still doing okay and 1 beds are getting beat up like crazy. How do I call in? What's your number? Very funny. It's not going to happen. This is not the Frankfurt report. Send me an email. Maybe I'll get to it next time. How about that buyback and rent back program in Surrey from developers? I don't know anything about it, actually. All those things are scams. Those just desperation moves? Anything like a rent back is a scam. I have people constantly, because of the Tom Story show and because of this channel, I have all sorts of spam people. Oh, we've got this great program for your rent back. If you got a client that's a foreign buyer, don't worry, we won't put them on title. We'll just slam them into a rent back. Or you got somebody that can't afford it, don't worry, we'll put them into a rent back. They're all scams. I talked to my mortgage broker about it multiple times, and he's just like, he's actually done rent to own type things, I guess you would call it, as opposed to a rent back. Rent to own is just, you never end up mathing out correctly in order to buy the thing in the end, and whoever does the rent to own is screwed. Or I guess a rent back, if you're talking like a rent back program, many developers will do is they'll complete on your property and then you'll be able to rent it back over a certain period of time. That's actually a great option for a development type property. But the best move for anybody in selling to a developer, if that's what your question is a lot of the time the developers don't want to close, so they'll like pay you extra to hold on to the property for 3 years and stay there, so they don't have to close, and they don't have to pay transfer taxes and carrying costs and all that sort of stuff. So like when I've done development and it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years difference in the closing, like there's millions of dollars in difference in carrying that property. TK needs to go easier on you. I've never rolled with TK, but maybe I will one day. He's a brown belt. He would kick my rear end all over the place. Can I call in? What's the number? No, you can't call in. Let me give you Daryl Frankfurt's number. No, he does that on his channel. Will record condo inventory really affect single residential prices? Will condo inventory affect single residential prices? I would say yes, it will, because if you have one segment of the market that hurts long enough, then that will trickle into other ends of the market. But really what I think our real estate market is proving now is that for the majority of people who actually want to own and live in their own home, they want a 3-bedroom or larger, or they want really large homes. So single family is still always going to be king. If you can get into one, you want to be there. They are always going to be the best. And it's proving that not a lot of people really want to live in 2-bedroom units, but it's a heck of a lot better than everybody living in 1-bedroom units. And I lived in a tiny little condo at one point myself, and it served a purpose. But just like a job at McDonald's, those are supposed to be for, high school and college kids. They're not supposed to be for somebody that's 40 years old trying to make a living. So eventually, unless you have that kind of minimalist lifestyle and no kids and all that sort of stuff, the goal is single family. You want a backyard. You want all that stuff. My goodness, I'm going to cough again like crazy. While I cough, why don't you take a moment and type a question in, because this is nice. There's actually some people there. Look, James Roffle's even in there. James, do you work? You were on YouTube more than I am. Cash flowing negative every month on real estate was unsustainable. Not necessarily. Had spoke to business owner who recently sold their business. They opted to invest in a total stock market strategy using proceeds. Okay, so why is it unsustainable to negative cash flow? I don't think it's unsustainable to negative cash flow, because you have to look at the overall, portfolio. Can you negative cash flow more than your cash flow on other stuff coming in all of the time? No. But what a lot of people, most of my investors, look at their rental condos for the last 10 years as, this is like my RRSP. This is, my costs are $2,500 a month. My rent is $2,100 a month. So I'm going to put $400 a month into my condo, but the principal being paid down is $1,400 a month. So they're actually still being paid $1,000 a month by somebody else. And they view that as kind of a forced savings, and like an RRSP. When they sell it, they'll put a bunch of money into their RRSPs to negate the capital gains. And that's how they view it. Most of these people that are buying this stuff are not, they're not big company people. They're not pension people. They're not this type of person. They don't work for those companies. They're self-employed, a lot of them. They're people that have to set up for the retirement, and they wisely so know that owning real estate free and clear in your retirement is going to be constant income, and it's going to be my pension, or it'll be my kids' way in the door, one or the other, whichever one it is. How about 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo with 990 square feet in New West? 3 bedrooms and 2 baths in 990 is pretty tight. I don't know. That's, yeah, I was actually just evaluating just 1,000 or so square foot 3-bedroom, 2-bath the other day, and it was laid out pretty nice, but I don't know. That's a pretty tight 3-bedroom, if you ask me. I thought you were serious about the. Don't be serious. Almost nothing I do is serious. If you want serious, you got to hire me. This is my outlet. Yeah, I'm not going to give out my cell number. That's for darn sure. What else we got? Allure Ventures is offering both rent back for 24 months, buyback 90 days, completing the original cost. Yeah, I don't know what all these incentives are. The incentives are, it's crazy to me that developers don't just drop their price. Like, well, I just want this price on the sales contract so nobody else, but then they do this guaranteed rent crap and all that stuff. Stop it. Just stop with pre-sales. I mean, I hate them. Can't stand pre-sales. Just buy something that's resale on the market, even when the market's been good. Usually what happens is when a property completes, let's say a tower completes, and you end up with 400 listing, like there's 400 units in a tower, 10-20% of them are going to come on the market right now because those people were speculating anyway. And then you're flooded with all of these units. You can usually pick one up cheaper then. So pre-sales, blah. Sorry if it's been asked before, but what happened to your eye? It was a negotiation last night. But don't worry, we got the right price. I should stop negotiating in person, I guess. Can't get a black eye on the phone. Am negative cash flowing $1,500 a month in Kelowna. You are? Boomer? Boomer Elbow Dude, Mr. Burns. That is a amazing name. I hope that's not actually you. But if you're negative cash flowing $1,500 a month, I wish you would have had better advice before buying or before doing whatever you did. That's craziness. Because as soon as the line between negative cash flow being even a good argument is, are you paying any interest out of your own pocket? The second you're paying interest out of your own pocket, not to mention property tax, all that stuff, now you're losing money. Now you're making a bad decision. Is there a cottage country in BC? If so, where? And range of pricing for waterfront. There is not a cottage country in BC. There's a couple of lakes. I just sold a water access only property not long ago, an hour and a half outside of the lower mainland. Well, not out of the whole lower mainland, but an hour and a half from where I am. And those properties are very expensive still. They are a townhouse at least. And there's no road to it, so you need a boat. There is not really, we don't have the same flat landscape that Ontario has or other places, so we don't have a lot of rec properties, and we got too many people. Like, for instance, I was up in Whistler last summer, maybe the summer before, and I was like, oh, there's a nice little kind of cottage, maybe 800 square feet. I was like, not on the water, by the way, not on the lakes in Whistler. I was like, I wonder how that is going, because it had a sold sign on it. So I looked it up on my phone, like $4.1 million, just kind of crazy. So the folks that do get rec properties, they usually spend, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, 2, 4, 6, 8 million, whatever. And they go up to deck a lake, or they go 5-6 hours, like 100 Mile House. They go 5 hours from Vancouver, 6 hours from Vancouver. It's not like, hey, drive an hour and a half out of the way and end up with something decent. And good luck with waterfront. Like, that stuff's it's like double the money to get waterfront than anywhere else. So you might be able to buy a nice little cabin for $200,000 or $300,000 up in the bush somewhere. But as soon as you put it on the water, good luck to you. That is a Ontario luxury, not something we have here. I'm looking at homes in Poco, Pitt, Maple Ridge. Notice that the homes in floodplains cost around the same. Homes located higher up. Do people not really consider flood risk? Well, if you're looking in Pitt Meadows, you are sitting in a floodplain. So enjoy. I don't understand why anybody would buy in a floodplain, but they quite often do it. Probably because they haven't actually been hit with a flood yet, and they don't really understand the negative side of what that might be. That's what I'm assuming. I feel a lot of people look in Poco and Pitt Meadows and then in Maple Ridge, but like, if you're looking in those areas, you got to know where the right areas are, because if you end up in the wrong areas, you're worse than downtown Wally. So, I mean, be careful. I hope you're working with a good agent. Sold my condo in 2021. Fortunately, I'm looking for Fortunately, 2021. I mean, I bought in 2021. I'm still up 20% plus. I'm looking for a 3-bedroom townhome now. Got pretty lucky. Maybe. Yeah, it just depends on what type of townhouse you're looking for and where, and if you can find somebody that's serious about actually selling or not. Because as I talked about earlier, a lot of sellers aren't serious about selling. I'm only going to sell if I get my price. Oh, this is what I want to share with you. I remember why I wanted to come on here today. Thankfully, somebody knocked some sense into me, and I finally remembered this. How about this concept? How about if you are asking a certain price and your home is not sold and you will not reduce your price, How about this concept? You are the highest bidder for your home. That's it. That's as simple as that. You are the highest bidder for your home. If you're not ready to reduce your price, if you've had showings, if you've been on the market for so long, and the buyers are saying, it's not worth it. If you won't reduce your price, congratulations. You're the one that owns the house. You're the highest bidder. Something that I heard the other day, and I just thought it was bang on. It was exactly the truth. Looking at homes. Oh no, I already got that one. Sold my condo. What are 2 to 3 bedrooms in Wally looking like nowadays? Lowball potential there. 1 or 2 bed. I mean, there's not a lot of 3-bed condos. There's a few, I guess. Yeah, you just got to be able to put in the work and find the places that you like. I personally, this is why I have always avoided Wally myself as an investor, because I view it as always flooded with inventory. They turn over really good when the market is good, but when the market gets tougher, now you're just one of hundreds upon hundreds of active listings in the marketplace. But everybody that doesn't know Surrey, let's see if I can figure this out. Ta-da! Everybody that doesn't know Surrey thinks that Wally is Surrey, and we know that is not the case. So, for instance, apartments in Wally, probably taking one of the biggest hits out there right now. And why? Because look at your months of inventory. It's 3 months higher, 30% higher than the rest of the marketplace. Active listings. Sky high. Look at that. In the last 10 years, there are 735 active listings at the end of May in Wally, in just apartments, in just Wally. Months of supply. Now, again, you guys don't understand how bad months of supply was previous. Like Wally, I've seen this before. 2013, 2014, 2015, half of 2016. I had a friend that bought a pre-sale in here somewhere in 06 in Wally, and he sold it. He didn't get his money back until I think it was January 2017, right around here. And the second that thing went to positive dollars, he sold it. And if he would have just waited, let's look at the prices now. So he bought it around here. Oh, sorry, this has probably gone back to, no, it hasn't. So he bought it around here, and it actually, his particular unit, the whole market did okay, but it didn't actually gain back its money till around here somewhere. So he waited 8.5, 9 years, something like that. Because there's just so much available. Look at the amount of active listings on the marketplace. Like, that's crazy. Sales are still not that bad, but if only 66 sell and you have got 735 because you've got all those listings flooded on, at the same time, all those listings flood on are being rented out. Now the rentals are being flooded, so those prices are coming down. So now you're cash flowing negative. It's tough. It's really, really tough. I recommend, like, I'll give you an example. Maybe you go out to Cloverdale. Oh, this is going to kick me out. That kicked me out to detached this time. Something about my stupid system always kicks you out to detached. Now look at your month supply in Cloverdale is 6.5. It's a way better market to own in Cloverdale. Now, of course, the active listings is way less as well. But as an investor, I'd way rather have this type of, like, look, sales in Cloverdale condos are going up. Wally, they're trending down. It's crazy to me. That's why I like to own, I mean, well, let's even go, where else are we going to go? Grandview, Surrey. Grandview, Surrey. Yeah, see? Grandview, Surrey. Apartments, 5.6. Not doing too bad. HPIs are hanging out. Not that bad. I think there was a bit of a bump here. But they're not trending down as fast as Wally is. Look at that, active listings. That's the difference, right? So if you buy in a flooded area, when the market gets tough, you're going to be in tough. I highly recommend, unless you're like a lot of people though are connected to the train, and I get that. But if I'm looking for for an investment property, I want a higher quality tenant ideally than is connected to the train. I want somebody with a car, somebody that's more established. Have I ever showed you guys this before? These are my branded mugs. It says buy land. They're not making it anymore. Karrasch Real Properties. All right, I should probably consider wrapping this up soon, but let's keep going back to it. Where did I leave off? 3-bed, 3-bath townhouse at 1 Central. Good time to sell. I'm assuming is 1 Central. It's the building I'm thinking of. I don't know. Is it a good time to sell? What is your definition of a good time to sell? To get out now before prices go lower, or do you want an easy time selling? What would you buy as an investment property in today's market? Well, I'm personally considering getting but a small townhouse, possibly another 2-bedroom apartment. If you are ruthless and don't care what you own, I would be attacking those Wally 1-bedroom condos right now like crazy, finding out who's desperate and who wants to sell. That's probably where I would go if I was ruthless, but I am not a ruthless investor. I want pride in what I own. I want to own a good product, and I want to own a saleable product in the future. I don't just want to get the best deal possible, which everybody tries to do. You want to buy in a good building. You want to buy a good product. You want to buy a product that's easy to sell in the future, because as we are finding out, if the property's not easy to sell, what's the point? So what would I buy? I would probably, if I was looking right now and I'm considering it, I would likely end up looking at townhouses towards Clayton, maybe Cloverdale, maybe Willoughby, possibly. But if I could, I'm headed probably south of Highway 10 in Surrey somewhere, looking at 2-bedroom apartments, because I think there are some deals down there. And I think your tenant class is going to be better. Like this last time that I rented out my condo, the tenant pool that I had interviewing, like normally I have trouble picking which tenant I want. Same with my basement rental. And this time around, it was a lot harder. Like I was not getting good applicants. And the closer you get to the train or to transit, I really shouldn't say the worse the applicants get, but the worse the applicants get. For the type that I'm looking for, I don't want a student. I don't want someone that's unemployed. I don't want somebody that's here on refugee salary. I don't want, somebody that's here being paid for by somebody overseas. I don't want those as my tenants. I want somebody established. I want somebody with a car and a job and a credit score in Canada, because they give me the least amount of headaches. What else do we got? Man, don't skip my comments. What did I skip? I probably skipped your comment. Oh, your comment was about the 1 Central. Good time to sell. No, I got there. HELOC, Scotia, Manulife versus variable versus fixed in today's market. If you are financially disciplined, can you pay down your mortgage? Can you pay down more every month versus spend? Okay, so I have very, very verbally a Manulife 1 on my principal residence. It's the best tool I've ever used to pay down my mortgage faster ever. The interest rate is quite high, but when you're able to save and pay down more, Manulife 1, Scotia Step would work as well. Variable I don't like, even though I guess I'm kind of on one with the Manulife 1. But I have never taken just a straight variable mortgage before. The other portion of my Manulife is fixed, giving me the stability I want, and then I can lump some down on it if I need. Most people, I think most people should get fixed rate mortgages. That's tough in today's market because mortgage rates are going up. And last time mortgage rates went up in 22, everybody was like, I'm going to ride the variable. And how did that go for you? Should have locked in. Most people, unless you're extremely disciplined, you should take a fixed rate, in my opinion, because most people are not extremely disciplined. And I had two mortgage brokers tell me this when I took my HELOC, and they said, spiderweb, what's up with that? They said, you're going to have one of two problems when you take a HELOC. You're either going to spend and max it out, and that will cause a problem in your marriage and you'll get a divorce, or you're going to save so much and pay down your mortgage so fast that that's going to cause a problem in your marriage and get a divorce. So far, thankfully, I'm the second half of that without the marriage problems quite yet. But I do really enjoy paying off my mortgage faster. And yeah, so I'm a big fan of it. But like, honestly, for 99% of people having access to that line of credit, I see it all the time. I go into listing appointments all the time. Do you have a mortgage? Oh, no, we paid this thing off 10 years ago. Okay, cool. So nothing owing on the house. Well, we do have that line of credit. That's a mortgage. How much is on the line of credit? We bought the rec property a few years ago, only $600,000 or $700,000. I'm like, oh, so you own no equity in your home. That's awesome. This is going to be super fun to try and do. Crazy. Going back to the question from earlier about cottage country, really hard to put mortgages on rec properties. And I'm going to cough again. When I say 2021, I sold in Delta. Recent sales are not higher. Yeah, so Delta, particularly in detached, Delta is getting beat up pretty good. You have black eye. You have eyes. You can see. Good for you. Sorry, I meant late 2022. Typo. Okay, all right. This is actually tough to keep up on. The truth is that Ron Butler kicked your ass. I've only had a chance to speak to Ron once. He was a very nice guy. I don't think he could catch me. Thanks for the insight. I currently live in Wally, 1 bed plus den. And I already know I'm going to get rinsed if I sell. I bought at the peak of the market. Just a matter of how much, I guess. Yeah, well, why sell? Hold on to it. You bought it at the peak of the market. That means at the best, you've only lived there for 3 years. Enjoy it. Never buy properties for less than 5 years and really longer than that. Is 10,000 square foot detached property in Murrayville a good purchase? That is such a loaded question. I'm assuming the 10,000 square foot is the lot and not the house. That depends on if you want to live in Murrayville or if the house is in good shape. I personally don't really enjoy Murrayville. It's one of those places people want to move to but never move to. Interesting, fun part about Murrayville, if you have a listing in Murrayville, you get all of the old empty nester baby boomer folks coming out and looking at your open houses. And guess what? You'll have another listing next week and they'll come look at that one too. And they just look and look and look and look and look. And if you get an offer in Murrayville, it's probably subject to sale. Realtors, if you're watching, prove me wrong. It's painful. It happens every single time. I would say the market, it will rebound. Yes, it will. Eventually. Not now. Isn't Cloverdale mostly floodplain? Interesting. Cloverdale Serpentine is actually, yes, mostly floodplain. Because that's farmland. Cloverdale proper and Clayton are not. So there are some areas that you would maybe want to consider with that, but no, generally not an issue until you get into Cloverdale Serpentine, and then you would have to be buying a blueberry farm if you're worried about that. So I wouldn't really worry about that. There is areas around downtown Old Cloverdale that I would not live near if it was me. Murrayville versus Cloverdale versus Walnut Grove for detached long term. I live in Cloverdale, so I'm going to be biased. Walnut Grove is now old. Most people don't like how old the homes are. Murrayville can also be old. Cloverdale is becoming much more Surrey than those other areas, though, and those other areas are staying very Wally. So if you need access to the freeway, go to Walnut Grove. It's great, but you're going to end up in like a lot of 1980s, 1990s houses. A lot of people don't like that, so that's why they end up in Cloverdale. How is South Surrey market, especially townhouses, 3 beds, 3 baths? People say compared to North South Surrey market is strong. I like this question. I like it a lot. Let's try and figure this out. I haven't had a South Surrey townhouse listing in a little bit. The last one I had expired because the seller would not come to the price, and I just saw they're back on the market now at lower than I recommended that they drop to, and they wouldn't drop to. So, North Surrey. And we're going to go to townhouses. So, active listings. South Surrey has a ton more on the market. Months supply, North Surrey is doing worse. So South Surrey, White Rock townhouses are trending towards a buyer's market. North Surrey is actually in a buyer's market. Trending up for some reason doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not seeing prices trending upwards in either of those marketplaces right now. Average price to me seems a little bit more realistic in kind of the trend. This is actually a trend that I'm seeing right now that I'm getting quite frustrated with. And I don't know if it's the real estate god somewhere playing some sort of fancy trick, but I'm seeing a lot of benchmark pricing with prices going up, and I'm just not seeing that out there. I'm seeing the same property selling, like same floor plan and the same development selling 3 months later at $50,000 less. So how benchmark price is going up in some of these areas makes absolutely no sense to me. Sales are trending down as well. New listings, South Surrey, White Rock, through the roof in townhouses. Those are all still townhouses. So it's better. The overall market is better in South Surrey. Not that much better, but just the price difference is ginormous anyway, right? Like you're talking the same property, $200,000 difference between North and South Surrey, because South Surrey is a lot nicer place to live. You don't have to tell me I'm wrong on that one. Everybody knows that. Can you do a video on Manulife 1? How to attack your mortgage? Probably shouldn't, because I'm not going to advertise for them. They're actually a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes, but I really like the product. So basically it works like this. If you have I don't do a video, I'll do an impromptu video right now. So you have a balance that you can pay down. The cool part about Manulife 1 is you have no minimum payment every single month. So you can just stack the interest on top continuously if you don't have paychecks come in. But someone like myself who gets paid on a commission basis and not a paycheck basis, I might have a very, very big month. So I could have I could get 50 or 60% of my yearly income in 1 month. So if I do that, I could then take that lump sum, put it down on my mortgage, and then I don't have added interest for all those other times because I've paid that balance down. And then if I don't have a paycheck for 5 or 6 months, it can just stack back up on top again, but it's now at a much lower rate. So that's basically the tool. So if you're a good saver, you can then pay it down faster, more than your lump sum or your higher payments. Because don't forget, a lot of these fixed rate products, if you increase your payment for more than 6 payments at a time or whatever the number is, that's your new payment now, and you can't lower it again. So it just gives you ultimate flexibility. Downside is you'll go buy a boat. When before you said you don't look for area specialists, look for realtors with knowledge. Why not have both? Yeah, okay, no, that's not exactly what I meant. Team area specialist with senior realtor, yeah. So what I said was, and I've been quite vocal about this, is I get so many phone calls about people that say, okay, I want to work with you because you are the area specialist. Or people that say, I don't want to work with you because this guy, so-and-so, is the area specialist. I'm not saying there aren't lots of good realtors out there. I'm not saying you shouldn't have someone that's knowledgeable. But what I'm saying is this idea that like that guy or gal sells that building better than anybody else, it's horseshit. Okay, it's not real. To think that they have the secret sauce or the inside knowledge to get the buyer to pay too much money for that one, like that's all BS. Most of the time, the area specialist is a marketing line that means nothing, that didn't have to be approved by anybody. Maybe they have the most amount of bus benches, or they just told you they're the area specialist, right? Like you wouldn't believe some of the reasons why we lose listing presentations. So I'll go into a listing presentation, I'll tell them all this info. The other person will tell them all the info, and they might be a good agent, might be not a good agent. And then I'll phone them back and I'll be like, well, you chose to go work with them, which is your choice. That's more than fine. They're maybe a good agent, maybe not. Why did you pick them over me? And they'll be like, well, they get 25,000 views on their Facebook page about their property. And I was like, okay. So because they drop a pin somewhere and do a advertising thing to 25,000 people who are not buying houses that month, you're going to like, okay, I guess they're the area specialist. So I'm just amazed at the amount of people that will pick a friend, which you can't really blame them for so much, but they'll think like, oh, this is the guy that sells whatever. There are some specialists. I'll tell you a specialist that I do think is good. Mobile home specialists. Because a mobile home is different than selling a detached home. Is different than a detached home and a strata property are very close to each other. A mobile home is a completely different thing. It's a refrigerator as far as I'm concerned, right? So like it's an appliance. It needs a CSA number. So I don't blame you for that sort of thing. If you're maybe a waterfront property, or there's something about setbacks, or there's something like for instance, I'll give you an example. Commercial real estate, I won't touch it. You phone me about commercial real estate, I'm not interested. If it's a $50 million deal, I might tell you who to get in touch with, but like it's not my thing. So you shouldn't use me. But to think that, oh, this guy sold 4 in the building, so he's the guy that gets it done. Okay, like that's not the way it works. I wish that was the case. Now, why is an area specialist good? An area specialist is probably better if you're buying than if you're selling. If you're selling, you're just picking the guy with the most bus benches. Or girl, sorry. But if you're buying, like it is important to know maybe where certain things are, or how good or bad a neighborhood is, right? Like I get that. There might be something that someone knows about it that doesn't, maybe another person might not. But like how specific of an area specialist is it? Right? Like we'll have this here. My office is just near, it's in North Delta, and it's near Sunshine Hills. Well, some people are like, I want the Sunshine Hills specialist. I mean, it's a 16 square block area. Nobody specializes that much, because if they only sold real estate in that tiny little pocket, they would sell 1 house a year, 2 houses a year, 4 houses a year, and they would be a nobody. So they go everywhere too. So don't get this fooled by this whole area specialist thing. That's enough of my rant for the day. I just think it's a marketing tool, and there's no stamp of approval to say this person is an area specialist here or that person's an area specialist there. There's no like area specialist certification. Tell you what, I was born at Surrey Memorial. I bloody well know the city. But I also did traveling repair for 10 years before becoming into real estate. So I also know every single part of the Lower Mainland and can get anywhere without a map. So, do I know where the local boundaries are for the schools in Maple Ridge? No, but I have Google 2 on my phone. So while you're looking at the kitchen, I can Google, is this the catchment you want? Yes or no? Kind of stupid. Okay, where did I leave it? That was a stupid long rant. I should probably wrap up here pretty quick. Enter in a couple more things. There's 73 people here right now. I don't think anybody has hit the like button yet. I haven't seen a heart or a thumbs up or anything float by in a while. How dare you? Come on, give me a hand here. I'm going to skim over some of this here. Once SkyTrain hits down Langley downtown, are you expecting Murrayville and Brookswood to appreciate in value? I've done this on my channel before about the appreciation. The only real appreciation that happens around SkyTrain really is if you can get your property zoned up to like a high rise or something like that. If you just have a condo, it's not going to be worth any more or any less than anybody else in any other area because it's near SkyTrain. That's not the case. Now, if you have a detached home and it's beside a SkyTrain and a stop, and you're going to get zoned to 65 stories, yeah, your land value is going to go up. But that's already been thought of. I guarantee what you will get when SkyTrain comes out is transients. So, like, a lot of people are leaving. But don't think like if I buy this townhouse here, like the townhouse development's already done. There's no more land value appreciation there. I'll give you an example of this, actually. I have a client. We sold a property. It's got a pool in the backyard. They renovated the place. They bought the crazy, I think, 2016, 2017 market. They spent what I thought was way too much money on the home, but they wanted it. It was perfect. I was like, guys, you might not get this money out for a long time. And then they have now been put into basically high-rise zoning for the future. Now, that's probably still 20 years away. But that's almost the equivalent of them hitting the lottery, right? Like, that is like they're going to have whenever it happens, whenever this high-rise goes up and it's 20, 40, 60 stories, whatever it's going to be, their land is now worth more. And they didn't think of it just in I want to say it was 2017. They had no idea that was on their radar. They were just looking for a nice house with a pool. So that's where you make the money as far as SkyTrain goes. If the rest of it's all a bit of a crock. I've heard you mentioned maybe before to watch out for developers, builders in Brookswood regarding the new $2.5+ million new homes. What did you mean by that? I don't know. I just don't necessarily think they're that nice. I think Brookswood, the difference, if you haven't been to Brookswood, go. The kind of area, like, what is it, 204th and 30th, or I don't know, kind of in that area. Yeah, it's not Brookswood anymore. So it's different. So in that whole area, kind of around Reeves Lake and all that sort of stuff, that's all going to be mass density now. If you're moving to Brookswood to live in Brookswood and you buy in that area, I don't know. I would, if I was spending $2.5 million in Brookswood for those type of homes on 10,000 to 15,000 square foot lots, I would much rather go out to Salmon River, Otter District, Campbell Valley, and get a nice home on a nice lot out that way. Costco in South Surrey, any impact? Hopefully it removes some of the traffic around the Langley and Surrey Costcos. That Costco has been, is it going now? I don't know if it's been going or not, but it's been rumored or whatever since I was in the grocery. So my previous job was grocery repair. So I would go around from grocery store to grocery store fixing their meat grinders, deep fryers, chicken ovens, all sorts of stuff. They were talking about that Costco in South Surrey 20 years ago, 25. How long ago was I doing that? 20 plus years ago. And yeah, hopefully it comes. We need it. And the last comment I will accept, Cloverdale ... I feel the same way. All right, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me, even after I got beat up by the market this week. Sellers out there, man, let me tell you, listen to your agents, get your prices down. The liquid price on your home is lower than where you think it is. There are a lot of sellers right now that are going ahead and getting to that price where they need to go, and there are sales coming together, but there are even more that are coming to the market unrealistic, and they don't like what their agent's telling them, so they're picking a different agent. I'm suffering that right now like crazy, and let me tell you, boy, oh boy, is it frustrating. But, you know, it's their property. They're allowed to, if they want, have somebody that's going to sell them the dream. My unfortunate side of that is I think you're just unfortunately going to sell for less later. So is what it is. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. Comment on the post show if it's not already too late for that. Have a great day, and Watch out for those left hooks.